Hello everyone, Razia Mashkoor, India International Film Festival of Boston. This is our 4th year and we are so delighted. We have almost 48 plus films submitted this year despite of COVID and things going on since last 2 years. So, but it's a beautiful, beautiful film. And one of the film which is also nominated for the best short film in IIFFB 2021. So we have a cast, we have a director, Partha Chakraborty, we have a lead female actor, Tejaswini, and then we have lead male, Prashant Narayanan. So welcome all of you. And then we have, according to the title, we invited one of our team member, and he is a psychologist in here in Boston, Harvard. So first of all, welcome all of you.
Hello, namaste.
Namaste. Thank you for the opportunity.
Absolutely. So let's start with Partha. Partha, why love, romance, presenting in the background of psychology? Why this topic you chose?
Okay. Rather, I would say that, like Prashant was saying, that there are many things combined and which not instantly attracts you. So when primarily Kumar came up with this script, he came up with the primarily 70-80% of the script. Then we worked together, fine-tuned it, and made it to the screen thing. So when he came up with this almost done script, which had a lot of nuances of psychology, it had a lot of to and fro of that nice, very polished exchange of ideas and those kind of things. So it attracted me. And also another reason which attracted me is in my school days, not college days actually, we had one session or one course which used to be called interpersonal relationship, which was one kind of mandatory course. And that time we were counseled as a student, and it was a group counseling, and also it was like how it helped, as well as how sometimes we took it very lightly, we made fun of it, and those kind of things, how each other played. Some student played the tricks on the psychiatrist, and they also tried to help us out in certain way, how to break or shade our shade out all these barriers and those kind of things. So those interactions were there in mind, and then when the script came, and it simply triggered those days and those emotions, and tried to play with it. And also, like, I wanted to make film for film's sake, not too much of the moral, or too much of many other things which we always try to look forward to sometimes in films. But sometimes film for film's sake, where probably few number of people can, with the very limited, not too much of tam jham ke saath shoot karke, to make something which can be gripping by the performance of the characters. That when you don't have too many things happening, then actually probably the characters and their performance can actually come out very prominently. So I wanted to explore that genre also. Like, not too many things are happening, not too tam jam is happening, not too much of drama happening, or camera movement, or too many sequences and those kind of things. I wanted to play with a limited scenario where I can explore these actings, like which they perform brilliantly with such a limited condition.
Yeah, it's absolutely it's a simple and sound film with so much going on in between two characters, which is played by Prashant and Tejaswini. Prashant, I will ask next question to you. How do you define love psychology in this film? You are a big con on that film. and you are not only cunning Tejaswi, but the real doctor in the film. What is your take on it?
See, one of the most important things that a con artist knows is how to immediately perceive a situation. You know, how to immediately understand the tonality of another person who's talking, another person's body language, another person's. So, what generally I feel is that, you know, in the initial, always people like to listen to what they genuinely want to hear. And especially when it comes from a stranger, it feels all the more better. You know, so as soon as, to get into something which is, say, love, you know, that is a later step. I think the whole idea is to create a sense of a sense of trust in the other person who is an unknown person to you. But then he or she would trust you in such a manner that they would kind of reveal the most inner things that they've never been able to communicate to anybody. That's the whole point of being a good psychiatrist. So he is there in an office where he has been doctored, been looked after by this particular lady, and he knows her ways. He knows what she talks about. He knows, you know, in like first he's got first-hand knowledge of what all the kind of questions that she had been asking him for all these sessions, which he's going through, which he's attending since coming from jail and stuff like that. And he gets an opportunity. It's something which is built within him. It's not that he is trying to kind of do something bad to that particular person or something. It is just his own kink over there, you know, that as soon as he sees this girl there and he knows that there's still some time left for the actual psychiatrist to come there, he just kind of decides to just pull a fast one on this one. You know, and he's not realizing that, you know, that actually she also is doing the same thing. You know, so it is basically two con people, you know, meeting with each other and feeling that they have outdone each other, you know, which is not the case, because then you realize that once the girl leaves and once the real one comes in, and you realize what exactly is happening over here, you know. So here, the whole idea, the title of the film is Trust Me.
Yeah.
So this man is trusting her. She is trusting him. The psychiatrist is the real psychiatrist is the one who trusted him and got fooled.
Right. Could I just add, Bhargavi, could I just add to that actually?
Yeah, please.
So I loved what you had to say, Prashant. I think con artists, sociopaths, they are very good at putting on masks. They learn the ways of others. And then they are able to put on certain masks to fit their prey, their targets in a sense. Yeah. So he exemplifies this. It was such a good job. I mean, as a psychiatrist, I was pretty fooled. I didn't recognize what was happening. Really, really good. I mean, I was absolutely drawn in. And that's, you know, I think Partha's great success. Yeah, it was a great success. It's a film for film's sake. I think that's absolutely right. It just did a good job of creating a scenario in which the audience is drawn in. And I love what both of you had to say as well about the dynamic between the two. You know, I think what Partha said about really trying to get at the interpersonal and, you know, really sort of focus the camera in on their dynamic. You know, a lot of great films do this. There's a series called In Treatment that was started in Israel and come to the US. And it's Gabriel Byrne is interviewing, you know, various patients, and it's just so interesting to look at their dynamic. And so you focused us in so well. I love
Gabriel is so mind-blowing. I've just started watching this. I've just finished the first season or something, and Gabriel is out of this world. In fact, all the people who are doing, I mean, if you realize, you know, because they're like kind of going back the next day that some other patient is being shown, you know, so, but you remember everybody who's there, you know, everybody, and as soon as they enter, you become the psychiatrist then, you know, because as soon as this one comes, you know what this guy's problem is, you know what this lady's problem is, you know, so you are like sitting and, you know, behaving like Gabriel yourself, you know. So because,
you're kind of a fly on the wall, and you're saying, oh, what's going to happen, right?
Yeah,
and you're in that role. So brilliant, just
Okay,
brilliant.
so you guys confused me. I am not a cone, but I can understand people. ये आदमी कहाँ से आ रहा है, ये लड़की कहाँ जा रही है. So I don't know if I'm making. I'm not making a joke of Henry, but it is. I can understand this. He's telling lies, or he's not telling. She is not telling lies. I can catch up this. So, but I'm not cone. Please forgive me for that. Tejaswini, what is your take of your role? And you are playing very strong women role. She is very strong. She is rude, but inside she has so many broken heart pieces and so many stories inside. What do you think about your show, and what do you want to say? Your character. Yeah.
So basically, I think actors also have to project certain emotions, and they're conning in certain manners. They are convincing people to believe them. So of course, we don't know how truthful is she in terms of all her, what she's talking about her relationships, and she's had an affair and things like that, one night stand with her stepfather. So we don't know. I mean, that's just something which the audience it's just left to the audience, whether when they see the entire film, the short film, so they would, wonder, was she actually telling the truth? Mm-hmm. Did she really have an affair with her stepfather, one night stand with the stepfather? So it's just that both of them, I guess, at that point of time, there was so much give and take, especially in the script part of it, So it was just going, or he would say something, then I would say something, and, I would just keep going on and on and on, of course. Mm-hmm. So it was a character that I was trying to, understand, which I would be portraying in a movie later on, which towards the end is when she speaks to her brother. So it just could be the character that she's, speaking about. And it's not necessary that it was her own personal life that she was actually spilling out. So it was very interesting, the whole way it was written, the way it was put forth. And as Prashant said very rightly, is there are so many scripts that come to us as actors, and then instinctively you just pick that one. And this was just, he just narrated the whole thing to me, and I was like, and I love edgy stuff. So I was like, I'm doing it, Partha, So, and I was also very excited that Prashant was part of this project. I've known Prashant for a very long time, and we've never really worked together. So I had an opportunity to work with him. So it was really nice. The whole setup was great, and I loved my role. And that's how it worked out.
And could I just echo something, Razia, on that one?
Sure,
that I think she played sort of an unreliable narrator character in literature and in film. You often have characters who you're trusting them, you're believing what they're saying, but then over time you recognize maybe they're really not telling the truth. And at the end, it seems like she's telling her brother, without giving everything away, but she's telling her brother, that I just went along with what the psychiatrist said. So you don't know really what she
is the truth, and what is the story going to be.
Whether she's really speaking the truth, or she's just talking about her character. What is she saying? So
it seems like a fascinating dance. Like
you don't even know whether she's actually talking to the brother or not. Whether she was just...
absolutely. That's the hit. That's the punchline.
There was no... Razia, there was no brother.
Exactly.
That's
a punchline. I mean,
You guys are so good that you are confusing the director of the film festival. She doesn't know what the truth is anymore. She'll need therapy from me after this film and after this discussion.
I think we all actors need therapy. Can I have your number after this? No, but I have a question actually to ask you, Rohit, since you are part of this. I have not really asked this to anyone, because I do know a couple of psychiatrists. The number of people that come to you all, how do you manage to take in so much of, the way they speak? I I think I've gone once to a psychologist just, to understand and speak and see what's the kind of reaction I get. I did do that once and I wasn't too excited about it, but but what I'm saying is every day you're meeting so many patients and you are taking in so much. How do you manage to stay sane, and how do you manage to give out the don't you get exhausted? You want to respond in a certain manner, and how do you manage it?
Yeah, so that's a great question. I think boundaries are created over time. When I was a medical student and I saw psychotic patients who were describing other worlds and all that, I was so fascinated. But then I recognized that it was messing up my world to really let them in too much. So over time, you learn boundaries. But I think the key point here is I recognize that people are suffering, and I'm meeting them where they're at and trying to help them from that place. I didn't cause the suffering. You try to have what's called cognitive empathy, where you understand their world, you make a mental picture of what they're going through, but you're not necessarily feeling all of the emotions. You recognize what they're feeling and you talk to them about what they're feeling, but you're not necessarily internalizing it. So you have to be able to keep, their emotions, from seeping into your life. You can feel sorry for them. You can feel sad at what they're going through, but the key point is helping them. And it's like an emergency room physician.
I think what you
when you are listening to so much of so many problems, whole day, like if I have to listen to problems every day, I'll just go cuckoo.
So we're different people, right? The world has different people. My father's an oncologist. He's a retired cancer doctor. He dealt with cancer all the time. I have friends who are palliative care physicians. They deal with people at the end of their lives. They're friends who are, funeral directors. These are, people are cut out for different sort of paths in life or roles in life. And this is a good fit for me. And it does not weigh me down. I feel grateful to be able to help people. I think everyone's different.
I think what generally I think a psychiatrist actually does is to, he's not just like, as you said, that you're not getting too involved in it. It is about, within a conversation to project a certain objectivity to any situation so that the particular person can take off from there. Because a person within a problem, he's never able to take an objective stance about anything. So a psychiatrist builds him or her to a plane where he can objectify the problem, look at the entire issue from top, so that he's not looking at it like this. He's looking at it like this so that he knows the left and the rights and the center and middle. He knows everything. And that, I think, is a plane where the psychiatrist takes a particular person so that he or she can decide on which course of action to take, which will absolutely lessen his miseries as soon as possible. That is where this character of mine, because he's an artist, because he is a smart guy, he is so warm and enveloping and smiling and so like, that is a whole reason why this character works in this short film. Because as soon as she leaves, he goes to the bathroom and he washes his face, and that is where the entire shift happens. And you realize there's something different. The cop comes in, tells her, so it's all a very the last 5 minutes are like cut. It totally changes the whole thing.
That change the picture actually. Let's say Tejaswini's character in this film is not fake. It is real. She is coming to see the psychologist, and being a psychologist in that frame, you are asking so many questions, and she broke down. Right? So this is the real thing happening in so many lives around us. So many people, when you ask or they give some sympathy, they will break down in front of you. So this here psychology, whether it is in love, whether it is in your business, in your life, in your relationship, it works. It is there.
True.
One or two people need to, give them that space where she or he will talk every single thing she or he has in their heart.
It is being called kind.
Right.
It's being called
Yeah.
kind. Being kind to another human being, and kindness is something which you don't have to kind of put pressure to communicate. It just communicates. If you're kind, if you're a kind person, it immediately communicates, Razia. And Rohit, you would understand that much better what I'm saying,
Trying to say so, but
so Razia ji is exactly right. I mean, I think people often need a space to sort of vent their suffering, and a listener to really just take it in and respond as a human being. I mean, sometimes, like Prashant was describing, sometimes psychiatrists are really we function as good friends, somewhat objective friends. Who say your thinking is wrong here. I don't think you should feel like you'll never find another partner or spouse. That I know this was it's very painful. The relationship broke down, but you were happy before. You can be happy again. I had a conversation last night with a former patient's mother. Said, "Can you please talk to my daughter?" I said, "I can't see her clinically, but I can speak to her." Ended up being a 90-minute conversation. This is a 24-year-old who had her first relationship. And there was a relationship breakup, and she was devastated. I'm never going to find love again. This is a bad idea. I should never try again. And I said, that's not right. So it took some time to sort of sort out her thinking. At the end, the mother said to me, she's happy. You really helped her to the point where she seems like she's over the relationship breakup. Wow. Yeah. That's what it is. I mean, sometimes it's just, you meet people where they are, with their suffering.
Yeah, you need
try to be kind.
You need to speak up. You need to, remove all your, your emotions out. And even if you're speaking to a friend who you're comfortable with, I think that's very important. But I think most of the times it helps when you are speaking to a complete stranger. You just have that tendency to spill everything out because that the other person's not going to judge you. And because that's what generally happens when you want to go and speak with a friend. You're always apprehensive. You're not going to speak, maybe I'll just speak a little bit here, a little bit there, not speak the entire truth. But you do generally speak in front of an absolute stranger. And I think that's where the psychologist comes in.
That's why in Hindi, they say, there's a saying in Hindi, which is called, Ajnabiyon se kya sharmana.
Exactly. This is a phrase. So, let's say being a part of that film, you both character and director, my question all of three of you, do you think the community around us are more vocal, saying so many things but not sharing their pain with anybody, or there are no listener anymore? Everybody is saying, nobody is listening. What do you think?
See, it's become an extremely busy life with everybody. Everybody is busy, and to find somebody genuine enough who will actually spend time listening to your problems, whereas, that same time could be used for solving his own problems, is a very rare thing these days. It is definitely rare, so it is important that, especially in a country like India, that this entire psychiatric, it should open more eyes. I think more people should use the help of professional people who would genuinely help you out without any pros and cons attached to it, because that is their job. Why should I go and try to waste somebody else's time? Somebody else's. There is an entire section of educated people who are doing this, who are considered their best in their fields. Go to them. Why are you so hell-bent on taking somebody else's time? किसी का एहसान क्यों लेने का यार? किसी का एहसान मत लो. आजकल तो ये चक्कर है कि आप जो है किसी से कुछ बात करने का भी कोशिश करते हो तो अगला जो है ये सोचता है कि यार इसको भी आधा घंटा मेरे को इससे बात करनी पड़ेगी मेरे को भी, और वो आपको जो है 25वें मिनट पे ये एहसास दिलाएगा कि भाई मैं एहसान कर रहा हूँ, 25 मिनट से बात कर रहा हूँ. तो go to a right guy, who will actually spend.
मैं आपको आधा घंटा से बात सुन रही हूँ.
हाँ, so So, you know,
He knows.
so
Few people.
so it is. I think we should just go to the right people. You know, they're professionals. I think that is most important. It depends on what kind of problem you're going through.
Correct.
You know, you can't tell a psychiatrist, no, that I'm not being able to pay my rent this month. What can I do about it? Talk to me. You know.
Can you please pay my rent this month? I'm in trouble.
Can you talk to me?
Tejaswini, huh?
So, you know, earlier, I think life was so much more simpler. And with social media and everything that's come into our lives, it has complicated our life to another level. So even a simple, like if you see an influencer promoting a product and you look at it and you say, oh, I want it, but then someone, you know, the person who's watching it, maybe that person doesn't have the kind of funds to buy something like this or lead that kind of lifestyle. So not only lifestyle being one aspect of it, of course, as I said, things were simpler earlier. Now everything's become so complicated, and it has affected people mentally, you know, to a large extent. Also with relationships falling apart and things like that, because everything is so available right now. It has created a huge problem with a lot of people. And yes, people don't have time, as Prashant said, I think if you are so what happens is I'm born and brought up in Mumbai, Bombay. So I have a very strong family setup. So I always lean back on them. So if I have any issues, I would go to them. But what happens with people who come from out of town to work here in the city? So there is a lot of insecurity, you know, because family is not here. And you can't, you can't lean on them. You can't also discuss your problems with them, because a lot of times actors especially, you know, they have some of them who fought with their family and come, so they can't really go back to their family and say, you know, I can't pay my rent this month, can you please give me, you know, rent? So the family would say, why did you go? We never even told you to go in the first place, you know. So there are a lot of these kind of issues that happen. So for someone who's coming from out of town, it gets very difficult for them to also make friends, because you know, I being a city girl, I have my own set of friends. To make new friends for me is very difficult, you know. So I have my a set of friends who I speak to, who I go out with, things like that. So when someone who comes from out of town and to start literally from scratch is a big deal, and that takes a lot of emotional and, you know, mental effort into everything. Plus then you have to work and you have your rent and you have everything involved. So yes, it takes a toll on people, and then as I said, social media adds to it, and the lifestyle and everything else. So people are kind of breaking down, and it's very important that they seek help. It's absolutely okay to seek help. There's nothing wrong in it. And somewhere I was actually talking to a group of, to the millennials, okay? And they, you know, I spoke to so many of them, and they said, you know what, your generation was so much better. I said, why, what happened? So, you know, it was literally like spoken that, you know, there's no soul left. How do you find real relationships? Now that is a huge problem. You know, if you're not finding real relationships, if you're not finding the right people, it's a big problem. And that's definitely going to cause a lot of emotional stress and mental stress. I don't know how they're going to deal with it, but I think it's very important to seek help and to stick close to family and close friends.
You have to, Partha, what is your take on it?
Okay. So sadly, this film doesn't serve that purpose. What it should
of course. we went a little far.
Yeah, it serve that purpose in terms of like the real need of proper psychiatric counseling. Yes. And the field, you know, is a medical field for that matter, and it does contribute, you know, heavily to the mental scenario, or, you know, uplifting people's mental condition. but the scenario is like, sadly, there's a lot of stigma which is associated in India, and I'm sure everywhere else as well, because there's some kind of madness is associated with, and there's a lot of stigma. At the same time, the life has changed so drastically last couple of years, and in terms of stress, in terms of many other things, not only stress which your like student life, like I have seen my friend committing suicide once, so that is one of the very saddest time of means in a mental condition for that matter, because he couldn't find anybody to talk to. So that I strongly remember, because he came that night, just the night before he committed suicide, and he couldn't find me, and I didn't have time to talk to him. But yeah, that's the thing. Like, now many more people have similar kind of condition, that there's no listener left, or listeners don't have time, and we are losing the appetite of listening, or losing that that we are not being able to become good enough friends. We don't have time to invest that amount of time on somebody else. वो सब भी हो रहा है. But the AB here, there are people which is happening as well. There are people who are coming out and saying that, okay, I have been through this thing, and I have shouted, counseling, and that helped me. Okay, so that kind of thing, I'm sure, would be reducing that stigma, would be reducing that. Yeah, it is a professional thing. It's like going to a doctor when you are feeling sick, even if you are a little bit sick, not too much, or you don't need an operation, but you still go and visit a physician. So there are varied conditions you must go and address your condition, because mind is governing your body also. Like, it's not something out of the world. It's very integral part of your being, and that matters a lot. So, but sadly, my film doesn't talk or doesn't
that much things we are talking about. Yeah, of course. But
it's absolutely the opposite of what we've spoken.
Exactly. But there is a stigma because people are worried to go to the psychologist and say something what they are feeling. And वो एक हमारे यहाँ जो इंडिया में एक शेर भी है कि एक जरा मुंह से निकलते ही नजीर उसने उससे कह दिया. तो दिस इज द थिंग कि अगर मैंने किसी से कुछ कहा तो वो यार बात बहुत दूर तक चली जाएगी. एंड पीपल आर अफ्रेड अबाउट इट कि हम ठीक है साइकोलॉजिस्ट से कह सकते हैं, एक फ्रेंड से कह सकते हैं, बट इज रियली ही और शी अ रियल फ्रेंड who will help me? This is another thing. But apart of all these talk we are talking about, film is really, really good. I really want to last comment three of you on your role, on your film, and it is being nominated for the best film in IIFFB 2021. And Prashant is also nominated as best actor. So and from your show. So okay. Tell me about your last comment on that, on your movie.
What I think is about the film that I think is that it's an extremely intelligently crafted film, where there are different layers, where there are different kind of people, humans involved in this particular venture, on screen, off screen, and in a very short span of time, you have created a thing which people kind of are not able to do it even in a 1.5 half-hour film or a 2-hour film. It's just that surprise thing that the whole idea of watching a film is that that you're left with something behind that you can think about, that you can kind of most of the times you watch a film, and as soon as you get out of the theater or you finish watching, you put this remote off. You forgot about it. There's nothing to think about it. But this film, the best quality about this film is that that there is always something that you can think about. अरे यार इसने ऐसा क्यों पूछा था और ये लड़की ने ऐसा जवाब दिया था. इसने ऐसा किया था तो इसने ऐसे बोला था. So there are lots of things that you can kind of just go on about this film, and that is the success of this film. Maybe tomorrow if Partha doesn't get the best feature, best short film for this, or I don't get the best actor award for this. It really doesn't matter. What matters is that, that we have collectively created something which is really something memorable. And that is what is the success of this film. It really doesn't matter. Awards and all don't matter when you have achieved something that you have set out to do, and in a short, like 1.5 days of shoot, you have managed to kind of create something which is going to remain in the memories of whoever watches this film. That is important,
No doubt about it. Yes, it has layers in characters and in writing.
That's true.
I would say I really congratulate to the writer too, because he writes layers, and very visible layers. As a 1, 2, 3, 4. Yes, the Kumar is the writer, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So Kumar, please convey our congratulations and all praises to him. And what is your take, Partha?
My take. Okay. Yeah, and I would add on to what Prashant was saying. The film, this film particularly, is all about the layers you are talking about, and how that layers getting peeled by the one person, and another person also playing to the kind of scenario which is created, okay, and adapting to that scenario, and playing further. It's like there is a lot of improvisation probably she is doing, and the con artist anyway, he is the best at it. That he got a situation, he played, got the stage, and he started playing. Now the interesting part of it is in repeat viewing. Maybe like there are clues which are left. Probably you might find it interesting to get back and find those clues and connect it to the end of the film. Like the clues like probably it should be better watched, but clues like electricity going off, light coming up, those kind of things also which are left. Probably in repeat viewing, one might be able to find it interesting. Thirdly is like watch it for the performance. Like it's all about their performance, because the film is kept so simple in terms of production, in terms of execution. It's straightforward story. These two people primarily, and also other two actors, they sat down and performed. It's like without any too much of any other accessories with them, without any help of the camera moving or light coming or any dramatic scenario. They simply sat down and played and held the whole film together. So it is brilliant piece of performance by all the actors, primarily these two, who just rocked. I should be saying that watch it for the performance of these people.
Yeah, well, you can also tell them who suggested the title, no? Why aren't you doing that?
Yes, the title, Trust Me was suggested by Mr. Prashant Narayanan himself. and also I would say that Prashant didn't have to act. He is, you can say that he is just fit from the very beginning. And I would say that Tejaswini for that matter, like she was so subtle. Prashant probably went in a little, because his character demanded certain amount of ups and downs and those kind of things. And Tejaswini is like so convincing, subtle, till the time she actually makes that phone call, you cannot get a hint of, she is playing something else other than the character she is. So that subtlety, I'm amazed by it.
Absolutely. Tejaswini, what is your final take?
I guess Partha and Prashant have summed it up, and I don't have anything else to say. It's just that Partha was very clear about it. I just want to add this, and we just shot this in 1.5 days, and it was a very beautiful and simple and lovely 2 days that actually 1 day is what I shot for the film. It was really nice. It was very easy. And it was really nice. So when I came back home, I felt good. When you come back home and you feel nice about a project that you've done, that's what I felt.
Of course.
So and Partha has put in a lot of effort, and I want to really thank him for thinking for me. and getting me on this project. And just that I wish everyone to come to wherever it's being screened, and that everyone should watch it and give your feedback to Razia or to us. However, we are all on Instagram and Facebook, and we would really like a response from the audience. Thanks.
Absolutely. So, and
I can give feedback, and I can give feedback now. I mean, so I thought, as a judge, I mean, again, Razia ji showed the movie to me and the other two judges, and she was there as well. And I mean, everyone just loved it. We absolutely loved it. We were, the other judges were like, what was it like for you as a psychiatrist to watch? And I said, I was, shocked at what was going on. And, at the end, I was like, oh my God, this is fantastic. At the, I think, great art changes the quality of the day. It transforms sort of your day. And we watched it at night, and I was like, wow, it left ripples. I mean, it was a fantastic experience. I think it was a really memorable film. I think that's the right word. And I love the title. I think it makes a lot of sense. Trust is what it's all about here. That she seems to open up. Are these people trustworthy? But, I think it's clear from the three of you and Kumar that you really had a special relationship, special experience creating this film. And, like Prashant said, I think, it lives in your memories. You feel proud of what you did, and you should. And, Tejaswini, I think really pointed out that, that she just liked the experience of taping. She really enjoyed the day. So Partha, great work in what you've done. Kumar, who's not here, written beautifully. I love the layers. I think, Razia ji spoke wonderfully about the layers. That typically the layers, people open up when there is kindness, when there is trust. They open up and then they reveal what's inside. In this case, he shockingly sort of asked these pointed questions. She said, you're right. And then he asked another pointed question, you're right. And then she opens up more. I said, what is this? That doesn't happen like this. How can someone be this clairvoyant? So brilliant film. Just loved it. And I think the audience will as well.
All right, good.
I mean, आधे घंटे की फिल्म है और हम लोगों ने 2.5 घंटे बात की थी उसके बाद.
Exactly. We spoke a while, and we will go back and watch it. We will watch it for the clues. And I know in terms of the clue, I wanted to go back and look at. I said I got the sense the psychiatrist was sort of a shady figure at the beginning because it's dark. The cover, right? And it's dark. And his back is to everyone. So there were clues, and I want to go back and watch them.
Right here. कितना हम लोगों ने
and that jacket
तक पिक्चर हम लोग स्क्रीनशॉट लेते रहे थे.
Yes,
ढाई बज गए अब तो सो जाओ यारो.
That jacket that I was wearing, that jacket,
it
was actually it's actually the psychiatrist's jacket. If you notice that once the jacket is there on the chair. After that,
yeah, right.
I'm actually wearing the psychiatrist's jacket. And I'm just hanging in the balcony with that jacket on this thing, just kind of feeling good because I know that this lady is going to take some time. So I'm just kind of doing my own thing. And that is the time, surprisingly, that the bell rings and Teju comes in.
Okay. Wonderful.
So many nuances.
We can talk more, but I can stop here.
So I just thought, let me just kind of tell you about that only. Right from the top, you can kind of check for clues then.
Fantastic. So enjoyable.
Again, these are spoilers. You should edit it out.
Absolutely. But thank you so much for joining us today. It was wonderful talking to you guys.